Episode 33, AEROLINGUISTIX Advanced, Luke's Seatmate on LXE 7821, Scene 1.1, Fly-by-Wire at 2:2300. I woke to the faint rhythmic leakage of sound, compressed, algorithmically flattened, escaping from Ronnie's Apple AirPods. Gen 3. He was already on the sofa, one leg stretched across the armrest, eyes half closed, somewhere between music and indifference. I had not yet spoken when the message arrived. Luke. Not anticipated, not scheduled. Already at London Gatwick. He had, as he would later put it, managed it somehow, which in Luke's case meant a distributed system of small loans, favors, and quiet persistence. Friends, family, microfinancing, a transitory presence. Europe, after all, is negotiable in ways Los Angeles is not. He was boarding LXE 7821 at Lengua Explorer, an airline whose design philosophy I had always found precise, not ostentatious, structured, a system that knew what it was doing. I informed him, quite deliberately, and within Ronnie's auditory range, that he could not stay with us. Ronnie did not move, but he heard it. There was, after all, only one guest room. Luke, predictably, adapted. Diego would accommodate him. That was already solved before I finished typing. Transnational partner students develop a certain operational efficiency when left unsupervised. 3 hours, he said. Boarding taxi departure, 2 hours 10 in the air. He had calculated it already. So had I. Boarding at Gatwick proceeds not as a crowd, but as a sequence. A controlled release of passengers through numbered priority, each believing themselves slightly ahead of the others. Luke joined that sequence. I did not see him, of course, but I did not need to. The language of boarding is stable. Final call, priority groups, the ones I never heed with academic precision. Overhead bins, cabin secure, these are not merely announcements, they are constraints expressed linguistically. He entered the aircraft without incident. The 2300 is a curious machine, narrow in designation, but spatially deceptive. Business class configured in a reduced density, not overt luxury, but efficiency reinterpreted as comfort. Wow. A last-minute allocation, no seats remaining in the standard cabin, a system correction disguised as generosity. For a moment he believed he would sit alone, and he loved the idea. More space, no smell, no forced conversations with people you never meet again. He was mistaken. The man arrived late. Not hurried, late. There is a difference. I believe that's my seat. Polite, precise, already assuming compliance. Luke moved his backpack without protest. He would not, under any circumstance, initiate friction at altitude, well, most of the time, but this was not worth it. The cabin crew reinforced the instruction moments later. Sir, your bag must go under the seat in front of you. Redundancy. Systems prefer confirmation, and trolley dollies like authority when they believe they have it. The young male sat, and Luke, though he would not yet admit it, registered a deviation, not in behavior. Behavior can be performed in timing, in precision. There is a moment in all confined systems when two strangers must decide how much of themselves to disclose. Luke chose minimal exposure, the other man did not. Do you know Dr. Martz? Luke answered truthfully, but not completely. Yes. No elaboration, the man continued. And Ronny Caruso? A second, even more sober confirmation. Yes. This already exceeded coincidence. Luke did not yet act. He waited, and then the man provided what he had been waiting for. Sebastian Villanueva del Valle. Luke stood, not abruptly. That would have drawn attention. Indeed. He excused himself casually, as if it were nothing more than the lavatory. The lavatory door closed behind him. Only then did he send the message. I read the name once. That was sufficient. Villanueva was not an unknown name to me. It had appeared before, recently, and not without consequence. Colombia, remember? Yes, I replied. That is not a coincidence. It was Episodio 21, Ronny en Colombia, El Reto en Tránsito. Link uno right underneath this video.
I did not speculate beyond that. Speculation introduces noise. Remain calm. Observe. Nothing has happened, because nothing had. Not yet. Not quite.
Then Luke returned to his seat. He could not help but look at the young man. That, too, was deliberate. Non-verbal communication. The aircraft had reached a stable phase. Engines calibrated. Cabin normalized. A system in equilibrium, which is precisely when attention becomes most dangerous. He reached forward, activated the onboard interface, and connected to Lengua Explorer's Wi-Fi network. It worked. Scene 2, fly-by-wire on the A22300. Luke realized he didn't need his iPad. What he was about to watch was already playing, on a large screen only first class was privy to. You are sitting in an aircraft, you feel the engine power rise, you sense the acceleration, and at some point, almost without noticing it, the aircraft leaves the ground. And in that moment, everything feels obvious. The pilot flies the aircraft. But let me ask you something. When the pilot moves the side stick, what exactly is being moved? Is it the aircraft? Is it the wing? Is it the air itself? Or is something else happening entirely? Because in the A22300, there is no direct connection between the pilot's hand and the control surfaces of the aircraft. No cables, no rods, no mechanical chain. So if nothing is physically connected, how does the aircraft know what to do? Let's slow this down. You move the side stick slightly to the left, just a few millimeters. What do you expect? That the aircraft rolls immediately? That the ailerons move in direct proportion? That the response is instant and obedient? It isn't. Because in AEROLINGUISTICS we describe this differently. You are not commanding movement, you are providing a control input. And that distinction is not cosmetic, it changes everything. Because a control input is not an action, it is a signal. And a signal must be decoded properly, not construed, not interpreted, but simply decoded. The aircraft does not respond to movement as such. The side stick input enters a fixed coded relation. From there, it is processed within predefined control laws. The resulting response follows those laws exactly. In a nutshell, we are inside a signal-based system, with a sending device, the side stick, and a receiving device, the flight control computers. Let's make this precise. You don't say the wing goes down, you say the control surface deflects. Listen carefully. Deflects. Because in AEROLINGUISTICS, we don't describe what we see. We describe what happens within a system of control. So when the side stick moves, nothing moves yet. First, something else happens. The input is captured, converted, processed, and only then translated into action. Now ask yourself this. If the pilot pushes forward, does the aircraft descend directly, or is the response governed by predefined control laws? Because from this point on, the pilot is no longer directly moving the aircraft. The input is transmitted as a signal and processed within a defined system. And that system has limits. It knows how fast the aircraft is, how much lift is available, how far a surface can safely deflect, and it will not allow you to exceed those limits. So now we arrive at a critical question. If the pilot cannot directly command the aircraft, who is actually in control? And more importantly, how is that control implemented? Because this is where AEROLINGUISTICS becomes precise. We stop speaking in general terms, and we begin to speak of a code-based transmission from input to implementation, not more or less, not up or down, but quantities, limits, ratios, and from this point on, general terms are no longer sufficient. We need quantities, we need limits. Scene 3, the digital constraint, C star, asterisk superscript, and the load factor, the screen. The AEROLINGUISTICS branding is crisp in the top left. The professor's portrait remains steady, a fixed anchor of authority. Below him, the side stick is linked by a directional arrow to the flight control computer, FCC block, which contains the C asterisk superscript law and the load factor ratio, N equals L, cited by W. The professor, on screen. In a conventional aircraft, you pull a cable, you move a surface. It is a direct mechanical linkage, but in the A22300 that dialogue is silenced. When the pilot moves the side stick, he is not flying the plane in the traditional sense. He is providing a control input signal, a value denoted as delta SS. But how does the computer decode a simple tilt of the hand into 60 tons of kinetic energy? It uses the C asterisk superscript law. Look at the formula on your screen. C asterisk superscript equals N subscript Z plus V subscript so times Q. Does the aircraft feel the wind? No, it calculates the ratio.
We have a variable here that often causes confusion for speakers of Romance languages, the load factor. In English, we use the term factor, but do not mistake this for a motive or a reason. Here it is a purely mathematical ratio, the ratio of lift to weight. N equals L divided by W. Pronounce it carefully, load factor. It is the measure of the stress we place upon the airframe. Now, why do we need the C** superscript law to combine these signals? Because a plane at 150 knots behaves differently from a plane at 300 knots. Ask yourself, if you are landing, what do you want? You want a specific pitch rate, the Q in our equation. You want the nose to rise precisely as you flare. But if you are cruising at 30,000 feet, you don't want sudden rotations. You want stability. You want to manage the G-load, the NZ, the crossover velocity, the V subscript co, is the intelligent gate. At 210 knots, the system shifts its priority. Below this speed, it prioritizes the rotation, Q. Above it, it prioritizes the load, NZ. The pilot's hand makes the same movement, but the computer decodes a different input condition. This is the beauty of the normal law. It is not a law in the legal sense, it is a functional state. It is the mathematics of certainty. But what happens when the signal hits a wall? What happens when the pilot asks for more than the mathematics can allow? The cabin. Luke is motionless, his eyes tracking the flow of the diagram. He is seeing the underlying control structure, the invisible math that keeps him in the air. Sebastian shifts almost imperceptibly. He isn't looking at the formulas, he is looking at the professor's eyes on the screen, his face a mask of cold, analytical recognition. Remember,
Scene 4. The limit. Envelope protection. The professor. What we have described so far is stable. The input is transmitted, the signal is decoded. The control laws define the implementation. But every system has a boundary. In the A2-2300, that boundary is not theoretical. It is built into the system itself. Look again at your screen. There are values the system will not exceed. Bank angle, load factor, angle of attack. These are not suggestions. They are defined limits. When the pilot moves the side stick, the signal is still transmitted. It is still decoded. But the implementation is constrained. You may ask for more. The system will not provide it. Not because it refuses, not because it evaluates, because the mapping is fixed within defined limits. Let us take one example, the load factor. On your screen you see N equals L divided by W. This is not an abstract relation. It is a structural constraint. If the input would result in a value beyond what the airframe can sustain, the implementation is limited. The signal remains the same, the mapping remains the same, but the result is bounded. This is what we call envelope protection. The aircraft remains inside its operational limits, regardless of the magnitude of the input. The pilot does not command surfaces. The pilot defines input conditions. The system ensures that these conditions remain within what is physically possible. This is the normal law. Not a law in the legal sense, but a defined operational state. A state in which every input is mapped, every mapping is constrained, and every constraint is enforced. This is not interpretation. This is not negotiation. This is a signal-based system with fixed mapping and defined limits, and it remains stable until a signal reaches the boundary. The end of the video coincided with the landing announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly begin our descent into Barcelona El Prat Airport. Please ensure that your seat belts are securely fastened your tray tables are stowed, and all electronic devices are set to airplane mode. Please remain seated until the aircraft has reached its final parking position and the seatbelt sign has been switched off. All electronic devices must remain switched off until the aircraft has reached final parking position. On arrival, this aircraft will be docked at gate B27 and will be directly connected via the jet bridge. We will therefore use the front door only for disembarkation. Disembarkation will take place in groups of 5 rows. Please remain seated until your row is called. Thank you for flying with ATLingua Explorer on this service from London Gatwick to Barcelona El Prat Airport. We look forward to welcoming you again soon. We wish you a pleasant stay in Barcelona or a safe onward journey.
Walking towards the carousel at El Prat Airport, I have mixed feelings. The first thing I will do after retrieving my duffel bag, after getting out of Sebastian's sight, will be to call the Professor. El Castillo, the restaurant, the place where he is with Ronny. I needs to know, has anything already happened, or is it about to surface?
Scene 5. Scene. Instant and Eternity. El Castillo. The posh Barcelona restaurant where it's all happening. The room is controlled, not chaotic. A few guests sit rigid, pale, sweating. Plates untouched, water glasses half full. At the far end, Kevin Santamaria at the mushroom stand, measured, watching. Behind, Alexander Montalvo, glasses, still, observing everything. Ronny leans in, low voice.
Only some of them. The professor doesn't look at me. Ah! He's looking at the plates.
Yes. A pause. Those who took the mushrooms. Ronny exhales once. That was obvious.
Then it's him. A slight glance toward Kevin.
And him. The revenge trio from Colombia. A fractional tilt of the head. Alexander. Ronny shifts slightly.
You mean they are friends of Professor Gaspar Villanueva del Valle? By the way, door's locked.
No, they are Sebastian Villanueva's friends. He should arrive shortly, you know Luke told us. Sebastian is Gaspard's son, and probably not exactly in my corner. And as to the door, I know. A beat. Then, I open the menu, something slips out. An envelope. Ronny frowns.
You've got to be kidding me. So the criminal gene runs in the family.
The professor nods but already reads 3 lines. Basque. Gizona etorri da. Intransitive. Fine. Gizonak mutila ikusi du. Transitive. So the boy earns the case ending. Mutila etorri da. Intransitive. So he keeps the case ending of the intransitive sentence. A trap. Like father, like son. Case ending distribution. Gizona, gizonak, mutila. A pause. I close my eyes for half a second. Then I open them. Ergative. Case endings. Done.
That fast?
I hand Ronny the card. 3 positions. Ronny scans it.
Man, boy? Yes, that's the English equivalent.
The professor shakes his head. Small. Precise. No. A beat. Not the agent. Ronny looks again. Something shifts.
Case?
The professor nods once.
That's it.
Follow the absolutive. Ronny's eyes flick between the lines. Now he sees it.
Man, boy.
I hold my gaze. Same marking, same function. Ronny exhales, half a smile.
MBB.
A beat.
13, 2, 2.
The professor doesn't move. We don't open the door yet. Ronny looks up.
Then what?
His eyes shift.
Kevin. Alexander.
Remove them. A beat. Ronny nods slowly. Then a flicker of amusement.
Kierkegaard defines the instant as the empty moment of time and the full moment of eternity. The professor cuts in.
No eternity. Ronny grins slightly.
No eternity. A beat. I won't fight them. A glance at the room, the tables, the angles, the distances. Physics will. I move. Not fast, not slow, just exactly when needed. A glass slips from my hand, shatters. Every head turns. For one instant, the system breaks. Kevin shifts. The stand pivots just enough. Balance gone. He disappears behind it. Alexander steps. Wrong angle. A chair is no longer where it was. His foot catches. I am is already there. Not striking. Guiding. Down. Controlled. Silent. Finished. I take care of Alexander how she is still resisting. Well then, that should hold. The professor is already at the panel. 3 inputs. 13, 2, 2. A click. The door unlocks. Outside, sirens already approaching. SAMU. Police. Inside, air moves again. People breathe. The professor steps back. No triumph, just completion.
It wasn't the surface meaning. Ronny glanced. It was the linguistic structure that cracked it. The doors open. Cut to. Exterior. Sebastian arrives. Too late. He sees it instantly. The door. Open. Police. Movement. Failure. He turns. Fast. Leaving. Luke steps into his path. No hesitation. A small shift of the leg. Sebastian stumbles. Just enough. Police close in. Luke looks down at him. Recognition.
Watch out, Sebastian.
Sirens filled the space. Cut!